Hey YouTube! Yeah, so I've being super the technical wonder that I am, I've sellotaped a webcam to the end of this stick, and I'm going to go through my pedal board, which I've recently just set up a little bit better than what it was before. Yeah, just out of interest. So first off, the guitar goes in. There's no lead going into it just now. The guitar goes into the tuner. This is my latest idea because before I had it plugged into, I was using an AB switcher and then I had to switch to the guitar. I had it aft on the guitar side, so now tuner, so the bass and or the guitar goes straight to the tuner, and then it goes into this switcher box ABY pedal, which is now I can right as bass. Just now it's on bass and left is guitar. That's basically it. So the bass basically goes. I'll just do the bass first. Goes from that into the Jamman looper pedal, and then into, is this cable long enough? Into the Marshall MB B150. Yeah, which I've recently, it's got an internal 15-inch speaker, but I've recently just put an external thing on the back of it, and it now plays through this as well, which if you notice, it's annoyed me forever. Well, since the last gig I did, well, when I used it, I put the 15-inch speaker on top because it weighs less, and it always annoyed me because obviously the 410 should be on top of the 1x15. So that's the bass rig. It doesn't really do anything. I do have a bass multi effects unit that I use for gigs and put in the bands, but I've not actually got it set up. So goes from the tuner into the ABY pedal. That's the bass side of it, and then it goes from the guitar side, goes into this vintage compressor, which I haven't ever really used properly. I'm trying to hold it still, which isn't that easy with my left hand. Maybe I should be, yeah, whatever. Yeah, I've not really got the hang of the compressor yet. I will learn to use it. I'm using it as a slight boost, I suppose, sometimes, but not very often. And then we're going to the US Dream. This is the order of that we're going in, by the way. And it's a copy of a clone of a Sir Riot, apparently, which is a sort of distortion, a bit like the guy who gave it to me, my pal Ian, said you might quite like this, and he was right. It stayed on my pedal board ever since. Kind of like the distortion channel in your amp a little bit. I liked it. I don't think they're not expensive pedals. None of these are expensive pedals. Then we're on to the Mosky Rat, which is just basically a rat pedal. I do have a real rat pedal sitting up there, but this one takes up less room, and I did a video trying to demo the two together, and I couldn't really tell the difference between them, to be honest. Apart from the filter knob, where it's set just now is kind of the same as what a rat pedal sounds like if you've got it set at 12 o'clock. But I'll never really moved it from sort of 11 o'clock to 1 o'clock anyway, so there's enough travel in there to do that. Then we goes into the Twinote Fuzz pedal, which is apparently like somebody told me once it's like the Sabra Cadabra pedal by Catlin Bread, which are like 90 quid, but that might just be because it's got 4 knobs on it. Not really sure how much of a fuzz it is. It's kind of like, I think these two are sort of, you could kind of argue they're both sort of like a fuzz, kind of. This is my new Dolamo pedal, Dolamo. A really bad name. I was actually thinking what I might do, I might actually paint that. But I don't know, I think things I quite like, it's high business. That's like a proper fuzz pedal. I've really been enjoying using that. It's really, I don't think it would make any difference what guitar you plug into it, sort of thing. It's just kind of got its sound. Yeah, so there's the pedals that are always on. These are the ones I use. Well, that one's not because you meant to put a compressor first. I never use that. I use that one, and that one, and I'm now going to be using this one a little bit. And then it goes from that into the Bucky pedal, which is a bypass looper. So it's like it's kind of like an effects loop. I just made it out of an old Marshall foot switch, even like sort of. I only just wrote loop on it because I found my demo labeler yesterday. That's why I wrote guitar and bass on that. And my girlfriend phoned me when I was in the middle of making the word guitar, and I couldn't remember whether I'd put the I in or not. So I put the eye in again, so that's why it's got two eyes in guitar. So I just left it just to be annoying. Yeah, so that then basically goes from that into the loop, or it doesn't go into the loop. So if it doesn't go into the loop, it goes from there into the Mooer drummer pedal, which is a cool wee, which is basically what I use for all my drums. It's not really a drum kit as such, but it's, as you can see there, it's got a lot of options on it. It's like, it's got, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, is that 12 different sounds? And then if you push the wee button on top, which I might as well be able to do with my foot, no. Yeah, if you push it down, you've got like 12 banks of 12 things. So there's like, I don't know, it's like 144 different things. Some of them aren't really that useful, but it's got like a speed and a volume on it, which is handy. I just like it. Rather than trying to use an actual drum pedal, which you have to program, that you just turn it on and it just plays. The amp's not on just now, so that's why you can't hear it. Yeah, and then it goes from that into my Jamman stereo, which I really don't use anything like the capacity for what this can do. I do quite like that because it's got more than one foot switch on it. It's like rather than having to try and double tap and hold down like you do in the one foot switch one, it's got like a start loop and then a stop loop, and then it just seems quite easy to use. It's also, it can store loops in it, but I've never really utilised that function. It does a lot of all these things, do things, you can move things about, and I've done it a couple of times where I can like you can record things and have like a backing track to play along with, but I much prefer doing it live to show that it's live. So there is an element of I've done it before where I did when I did Hot Stuff, I did kind of like a verse and a chorus. So you can do, the verse and then store that and then go up to the next loop, and then, but it does involve going down and actually pressing buttons on it. You can't do it on the fly, which is pretty annoying. It's also got this wee pedal here, which is basically just a mute for this mic, which is cool. I wish I could remember. There's a sci-fi film. It wasn't a very high budget one where it was set on a spaceship, quite a modern one, and the whole film there's a guy talking into this mic on a spaceship, even with the gooseneck thing on it. It's actually attached to that, which is a bit that came in the JCB trailer. We had a digger, me and my dad, at one point a couple of years ago, and there was this rusty piece of metal in there, which is some sort of clip that I painted black and attached this mic to. It's actually quite good. I use it because obviously you can just, for making up a guitar cabinet, it's like, yay, no messing about, just do that. But I've been using it for acoustics. Means I can put loops into the loop pedal without having to have like electroacoustics, and it works all right. Yeah, so that's basically the main. That's it, and then the Bucky loop pedal. This is where things get a little bit more confusing. This is all the pedals I would never use. I've only just yesterday put the new Fuzz pedal into this, and into the sort of the primary, So I'm running through 1, 2. Do you count that? Yeah, okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 pedals, all true bypass before it even gets to the loop pedal. But I think once you go through so many, the capacitance starts going up, you start losing sound. I'm probably losing a bit of sound anyway. Yeah, so it goes in the loop pedal. When that's engaged, instead of going straight through, it goes into the loop. And the loop is, I've recently just moved it to up here, where I've got a Behringer, a Boss OS-2. My thinking there is it's got a buffer in it. It's not true bypass, so the loop has buffered. The reason I did that is because there's a couple of pedals in here that are a little bit sort of need a buffer. I think this is a Yamaha Flanger, which makes if you put any of these dials up to maximum, it just sounds like underwater spaceships and stuff, which is fun. My thinking of putting them on this shelf here is so that I can actually mess about with the knobs on these things rather than having to bend down and then ultimately end up not using it. So these are the pedals I never use, but I mean I'd like to learn to use the flanger. There's the phaser. which was the first pedal I bought. I really like that. I don't know, it's a copy of is it an MXR? I don't know whether it's the script logo one or the not script logo one. It's got one knob, nice and easy to use, and then here's these Belcat pedals. So I've got a chorus, I've got a tremolo, and I've got a analog delay. I do appreciate that the tremolo and the analog delay should probably be in the effects loop of the amp, which I've not actually used yet. It wouldn't be that difficult to do, actually. In fact, it would be really easy to do. And they should, or even in this case, they should be last in the chain, but they're not. So it goes into the loop, it goes into Boss, Yamaha Flanger, phaser, chorus, tremolo, analog delay, and then it goes down this red cable, whoop, and then it goes into this pedal, which is a Washburn Stack in a box, which I actually use quite a lot. I really like it. I'm not really sure what it's... I thought it was a bit like a tube screener, but I don't think it is. It's a bit more of a sort of another one of your... Sounds a bit like an amp distortion type things. It's in the loop because it's... I figured I wanted the buffer thing on it. Again, it should probably be up at the start of the loop, but it's not one I'm really going to adjust the knobs on that much, is my thinking. And then the new... well, relatively new Behringer Super Fuzz, which, if I'm honest, has too many options on it, and I've not really given it enough time to fully work out how it works. I much prefer this one, which just has like volume, tone, and fuzz. And I think that there is ways of setting this up to do a very similar thing to the fuzz face. These are not expensive. I've noticed that Anderton's is actually, because of superb, fantastic Brexit. Obviously Thoman was the main dealer for these things, and they worked out expensive, whereas Anderton's now doing them apparently, so I think they're probably coming in at under 25 quid. And people, the one comment you always get about Behringer ones is, oh, it's got a plastic casing, and it's like, yeah, but it's pretty tough plastic. I don't think it really makes any difference. I would maybe consider using that in cranking house. I'm going to make a pedal board, which is going to consist of a piece of metal, a piece of that checker plate stuff actually. Just basically with a tuner and probably that fuzz on it, and then it goes from that fuzz back into the Bucky looper. So that there is my pedal setup. That is a foot switch which runs into the Laney VC15 for changing the channel and turning the reverb on and off. I very rarely use the reverb. I would maybe like to, I might put an LED in that so I know when the reverb's on, because I keep having to hit it and check it, and I very rarely use the drive, and that's the micro metal muff, which was there until yesterday when I decided to put that pedal in instead. So runs from that into, there's my Softtech, which is I don't use in the house anymore. I use it in the studio though. That's a fantastic amp. As you can now show, so you look there. The knobs go up to 11 because I bought Electroset. I think I got that on my 19th birthday or something like that. I didn't know what it was, and that's it says what looks like Kaduno, but it doesn't actually say Kaduno. It says Siberia, which is Russian for Siberia. So it's actually, although it looks like it says Kaduno, those are not. That's not a Cuduno. It's like in fact I did. Can I actually still see it? No, I wrote what it is, what the Russian letters are on top of the cabinet that I used to use. But it's over there, and below that bass amp you can't see it. It's like a backwards Q and a K and all these things, but it says Siberia. And then here is the amp that I'm currently using, a Laney VC15 all valve. I can probably even angle that. Oh, look at that for technical. Yeah. So this is why I bought the Dymo labeler, because I tried to clean it and all the letters came off. So we've got going into the high input, clean volume. The bright switch is on all the time. I'm now using the drive channel because for some reason I think a valve's going in it, so the clean the clean one is really buzzy when I'm just sitting watching TV. You can kind of hear it, and the drive channel isn't. Not a huge difference in sound between the two, but I need to get that fixed by Frettronics. He did a good job last time. Bass, middle, treble, reverb, and this has actually got which is quite cool. See it there? It's got an overall tone control at the end, which is just like if you're using different guitars, if you're switching from like a Strat to Les Paul or something, you can adjust that. I pretty much don't ever really touch the knobs on these, to be honest, very much apart from volume. Quite dusty. Yeah, and then that is running through this cabinet, which is a 3x12, which I basically just bought because I thought it looked really cool. Also for gigging in the band. It's like, why not have one that's a bit crazy? And the idea of having... It really does make a difference to see that bottom speaker. It's actually pointing at me, so when I'm standing here, I'm actually hear the sound from it, as opposed to blasting into my knees. I actually took it into the studio to test it out, and what a difference it made. Using it with the Sovtech in Cranking House, and I found that it would make such a difference in the studio when you're playing in front of a 4x12. Where you stood in the studio, it's like it sounded really loud when I was standing in front of you, went off to the side, suddenly it dissipated. Whereas on that, suddenly I could stand anywhere in the room and they could hear me. It's a fantastic system. I don't know why more people don't do it. There's a Trace Elliott, which you'd always think just make bass stuff, but this is most definitely a guitar cab. Actually, Richie Sambora has them. I probably lost a little bit of by putting that shelf on top of it there. I probably lost, I'm probably not getting quite the impact I was before. Still sounds alright though. Yeah. So there was my run through of my pedals. Hope that wasn't too uninteresting, but there you go. So when I say, normally when I'm doing my videos, I'll stop on it and say, yeah, the Joyo Dream, or the Joyo US Dream. Occasionally the Rat, but less so these days. I was calling that the Fuzz, but now that's the Twinote, and that'll be I'm probably going to call that the Fuzz Face, because I can never remember what that actually says on it. Dolamo, it's not a very good text on it either. It's not easy to read. Whatever it is, I'm just going to call it the Fuzz Face. I'm just going to call that the Twinote. Yeah, so rock on. And if you're about tomorrow night doing a live stream, someone's asked me if you've got any questions, can I remember them and then ask me, and I'll talk about them. I've been doing quite a lot of projects. I've done some. I don't want to announce them yet. I've done a couple of quite mad ones, and another mad one. Yeah, so I've done 3 quite mad projects, and 4 quite mad projects are in the can just now, and I'm going to go on to them this afternoon. Yeah. Rock on. Catch you later.